This is the Vision 79 podcast, where my friend Sander and myself, Mason, discuss recent developments in our business and personal growth. The name Vision 79 comes from our respective racing numbers. Sanders is 40, mine is 39, and we have similar ambition to progress in business and personal growth. Many successful people have started small, just like us, but very few of them have documented their early years. They often say they wish they had, and given we believe in learning lessons from others, we intend to be the first to document our journey from start to finish. This is simply a documentary of our lives, and as such, we do not monetize these videos, so enjoy the ad-free content. Today, we'll discuss whether the lone wolf business model actually works, how AI might be changing the ideology around this, why we do or don't structure our business this way, and much more. But first, we start each episode with an update on where we're at in our business and personal life. What do you have for business this week?
Business this week was good. I'm back on a normal work schedule, which allows me to actually work on business effectively beyond a maintenance point.
Back in the New York groove.
Yeah, so
Nice.
very nice. I paid my personal sales and use tax last week. I had set up or I had gotten my ducks in a row in regards to it, but I actually paid it this week. So all is set and done. I'm squared up to this point.
How much did you have to pay?
It wasn't that much, 350-ish total.
Gotcha.
So I only owe in the state of Florida right now. I don't owe in any other states.
That's good.
So that's all good. So paid that off, got that done. Sent in my S corp letter
Yeah.
to the IRS through the mail. It'll probably be a few weeks or a couple weeks until I hear back about it, but sent that letter in. I decided to turn off. So I had my backup agency going, which has been running for quite a while, and they've been good to me. And then I had my agency that was waiting for a long time to get approval from Meta.
Yeah.
That one wasn't converting quite as well. So I talked with my mentor a little bit, and he suggested that I turn off that one for now
Okay.
and use that as the backup. And my original backup agency, I scaled that up.
Got it. Because
And
it's
so
converting better.
it was converting better. And so I scaled that up. And yesterday I had one of my best return on ad spend days.
Nice.
I had like a 4.5 return, which I'm normally, really good. Normally I'm around like 1.7.
Mm-hmm.
So this was like a really good day after I started scaling up. I was like, oh, sick. And then this morning, out of count banned. So
Really?
yeah, this
Dude,
morning.
what
Yeah.
time?
So I got a flag around 9 p.m. yesterday, and they said it's fine, turn it back on. It was just an account error. And so I turned it back on. I was spending fine. And it's not technically banned this morning, but I have a budget right now. It's at 150 a day,
Mm-hmm.
and it's spending nothing. Like not even spending a little bit. It's spending zero. Yeah. So something's wrong with the ad account. And so
Well, do you know if it's banned or is it like on restriction or something?
I messaged them, and they said that there's an issue with the ad account, and they'll have to issue me a new one.
Bro.
So yeah. So that's I'll give them one chance because I've learned from other ad account agencies that once it hits 2 times, it just like the train declines so quickly.
Right.
And so I'm gonna give them one chance. Like, issue me a new account. If I have issues in the future, like you are strictly backup. Like I'm done.
So then that's pivoting to a different ad.
Then I'm just going to use the one that wasn't converting as well and develop better ads because they will, I think, be much more secure.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Do you think it got flagged because it started doing so well so quickly?
Potentially, but that's a problem for me because I need to be able to scale.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter why it got banned because I wasn't doing anything that's out of the norm for what I need to do in order to scale my business.
Right.
And also, I don't have any metrics or data as to if I did anything that caused this ban.
Right.
So I have no way to know or understand what I can do differently in the future. So it's like I'm operating normally. I have no way to really know if I did anything out of the norm. I was still at very reasonable spend levels. So if I'm having issues at this point, like I can't count on it
Right.
at all.
Right.
So I'll give them one shot and see how it goes from there. But I had a good day yesterday. I'm happy to see that at least. I can put some money towards that other agency, and kind of run that, no sweat.
Are these the new ads that you're running or the older ones?
These are still the older ones. So
So you're doing this well even with the older ads.
right, exactly.
Okay.
So I I've also created 2 of my new ads. They're not the 2 that I created so far are not like the super scaled up nice ones,
Mhm.
but they are better versions of stuff that showed potential. And then I have one that's in the works. I actually have 2 in the works right now that are like way better, like way more in-depth style of stuff. And so I'm hoping to release one of those 2 with the 2 kind of improved versions
Yeah.
of previous ads that I have midnight tonight. That's
Gotcha.
my goal.
And that's on the old account, or that's on the account that wasn't converting well, but you're gonna scale it.
Yeah, that'll be on that account, I believe, unless they can issue me a new ad account immediately. Because what sucks is that I just sent them a bunch more money, of course.
Right.
And so I have like 1,500 with their agency right now. So I'd like to
Have that work out.
have that work out. Yeah.
So can they lift the restriction on the account that got banned this morning, or do they just have to issue a new one flat out?
From my understanding from the messages I got, they have to issue a new one flat out, which
So that's
sucks.
the algorithm starting over again.
Correct. Yeah. So like at this point, it's like whatever. Like I'm over it.
Have you ever
I'm over
seen
it.
have you ever seen those guys online? Like, okay, pick a person, place, or thing from any point in history.
George Washington in 1776.
Okay, now pick another one.
Elon Musk in 2025.
Okay, there's YouTubers that will go to the Wikipedia page for George Washington, and then there's hyperlinks in the description for George Washington and WikiLeaks, and they have to get to Elon Musk in as few clicks as possible.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've
You've
seen
seen this
that. Yeah,
before?
yeah, yeah.
How do we do that to get to Mark Zuckerberg? And then follow the path to get, like, his personal contact information so we can be like, "Mark, like, who is in charge of these ad accounts? Because this is
Yeah.
ridiculous," right?
It's
Is it all automated? Or are there people, so there's no people that are
there are people at Facebook who do this stuff, but the ad account bans are by and large the initial flagging is done through an automation system.
got it.
So the review portion, like when you actually try to get it disputed,
Mhm.
is done through a human being. But this initial flagging is done by some automated system that they have.
And those human beings have never been helpful.
Uh, Not to me. No. I've never
Hmm.
I've never had them actually resolve an issue beyond them being like, sorry, we can't do anything,
Right.
which just involves me trying again with a different account. So it's
So they can't even do anything. They're saying to you, like, "There's nothing we can do."
right.
So it's not them saying you're doing something wrong, it's them saying, "Looks fine to me, but I don't know how to fix it."
Well, the ad agency is saying we can't do anything to recover this account right now. Or they said, there's an issue with the account. We can issue you a new one.
That's the Facebook employees.
No, no, no. That's
Your
my
ad
ad
agency
agency.
employees.
Facebook, I haven't contacted about this specific issue yet, but in the past for similar issues, they say, sorry, we are unable to recover this account
Right.
or unable to blah, 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 whatever
Right.
it is.
Right.
That could mean that very likely doesn't mean that they literally can't do it. What it more likely means is that we are choosing not to do it.
Right. I wish people would just say that.
Yeah.
I've been making it an
But
intentional note.
it you know, whatever perspective they have, I think they have the perspective of it adds professionalism if we say, "Oh, we are unable to do something about it," rather than like, "Hey, I could fix your problem, but I'm not going to."
Yeah. Well, that's cope, right? I've been making more of an intentional effort to say, like, I haven't made the time to do XYZ yet. Not I don't have the time, or like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
go to this event rather than like I can't.
I
Right.
started doing that as well. And like when people ask me for car work,
Hmm.
um now I used to be like uh sorry I can't, or but now I'm like sorry I have other things going on,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
I'm not available,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In a more literal sense rather than like I can't because I could, but
Yeah.
I'm choosing not to.
Right. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I I wish that they did that. I get why they don't. At the end of the day, it doesn't change the outcome of my problem. So, you know,
I just had an idea.
mm,
Uh, your okay. So your work schedule with uh Deck 4 has sucked lately, right?
Hmm.
What if you applied for a job as a Facebook guy that handles ad accounts?
That'd be
You
pretty
get
smart.
paid, you can work from home, you already are familiar with, like, all the technical knowledge, right? And you can make sure that your accounts don't get fucking flagged. You can learn how
Pretty
to
cool.
fix them, and then everybody else that has problems will reach out to you, and they'll be like, "Mr. Sanderman, my ad got taken down," and then you can help them rather than the people that have been not helping you.
Yeah,
What a
it
plan.
would be.
What a master plan.
That is a cool idea.
I don't even know how you would apply for one of those jobs.
I don't know either.
Do you think they have, like, Facebook job
Every single
applications?
person I've ever spoken to has definitely been outside of the US. So,
Fuck. All right. Step 1, move to India. Step 2, find a job working for Facebook.
yeah, quite literally.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that was my issue with the guys last week when I was trying to get the Kia sold, is that they just didn't know what they were doing.
yeah,
And I actually I'm so befuddled because I had that power of attorney form filled out correctly. And I sent it to the guy and he was like, "No, I'm absolutely certain it's wrong. You have to redo it." And I was like, "I don't think so. And here's why." And he was like, "Let me talk to my manager." And he was like, "Yeah, our contracts person says it's wrong." And I was like, "Okay,
they're probably
sounds."
lying.
They were wrong.
Yeah,
They were, and then
they're probably lying and they're probably trying to scam you.
right. And a different guy called me back later and he was like, "Actually, it's correct. Let's move forward
The
with the
legal
deal."
department.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I've already sold the car to someone else at this point, right?
Yeah.
It's like glad you figured it out for your next person, but like it's not a complicated form, right? It's just John Doe, am giving the right to Jane Doe, who I co-own the car with, to sell it
Right.
to whoever they want.
You
And
would
so
never
that's
give
on
the right
sale.
to a vehicle that someone hasn't paid for yet. Like, you would never give
Yeah.
the right to a company if they haven't given you any money for it.
Exactly. Right. And I tried to say it to the guy on the phone, and he was like, "No, no, no, that's not how it's done. You have to go to the bed," and I'm not going to do any of that.
No,
But
that's wrong.
yeah,
But whatever. I this is an ongoing issue with Meta. It's part of the game. That's why I have backups. That's why I have this other agency. I can turn my ads on, the existing ones at least, no problem. That account's already pre-funded with a couple $100, so I can run it for a couple days.
right.
This is the name of the game. This is, kind of how things are at this point. So I'm not worried about it. It's just something else that I have to handle.
Well,
So
you had a win yesterday, right?
yeah, I had a really good day. I had a really shit week, and then I had an awesome day yesterday. And I was
Right.
like, oh fuck.
So it's going
Uh,
into the next week of like suck with new ad account off of a high of yesterday was a good day. So like there's promise there, right?
yeah. No, there's definitely potential. And so yeah, you're right. It's coming at it, from a refreshed angle, I guess you could say, and just going through it. So
Hell,
I'm not worried about it. It just is what it is. It's part of the game at this point. I appreciate that this backup agency that I've now been trying to scale, um, has, are more responsive in out account replacement. They have a guarantee, 1 day turnaround for out account replacements. They
good.
just have a little bit of a better structure than the agency that I dropped that really screwed me over hard.
right.
And so I'm appreciative of that at least. So I've been making positive changes to how I run the business. These issues just will come up. I could try to scale the agency that I waited for a long time to get in compliance with.
Mm-hmm.
That agency. The hard part is that they charge a percentage of ad spend.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, my mentor, runs 20 to 30K a day on ads.
Yeah.
So if I'm paying 4% on even 10 grand,
Right.
that's $400 a day, which over the course of a month would be 12 grand
right.
that I'm spending extra just in fees, which
Mhm.
is insane. So ideally, I'd love for one of these monthly subscription style ad accounts to work instead of like a monthly percentage account.
Mhm.
But, at least right now, I'm just trying to work with what I got. So I'll deal with that when I get home, get a new ad account set up, get the ads linked up and uploaded. But I'm happy to be creating new ads, happy to be working towards the bigger ads that I have, improving those, working on ad copy. Additionally, this week, I ran some static ads, just photo ads. I already did this test. This was run this week. of just like meme style ads that are like photos.
Mhm.
And I was like, I make memes all the time. I as well make memes for my products.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I ran some of those. They didn't convert well. Some of them did better than others, but overall, the didn't convert that well. My videos definitely had significantly better metrics in every respect, in cost per click, in cost to reach 1,000 customers, in cost to acquire a purchase, return on ad spend. Every single metric was better for my video ads.
Yeah.
And so I'll probably continue doing that. But I just ran some static tests just to get something out there, something new, something fresh.
Yeah.
And see what the return was like just for kicks. Didn't take me very long, and it was a good test to run.
Yeah. Well, and it gets exposure, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like,
something new, fresh in the
yeah,
in the
even if someone doesn't buy it, still raises brand awareness, which is
yes,
good.
for sure. So I ran that this week.
Like the flamethrowers, like Elon's flamethrowers.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the whole thing was a meme, but like,
Right.
now people know about whatever Tesla, SpaceX, I forget which one.
Additionally, this week, I finally finished my Excel spreadsheet of the footage categorization for the gramophone only. I didn't do it for my other two products. I just did it for my main product for now. I'm going to test it out, see how I like working with it, see if it's actually useful.
Mhm.
If it's not useful, I'm not going to waste time going through another 400 pieces of content or whatever.
Right.
So I want to try it for my main product, my big one, see if this system works, see if I like it, see if it's actually usable, and then work from there. If I really like it and I use it a lot and it really expedites my ad creation process, I'll do it for the other ones. But until then, just one product, one focus.
Right.
I was listening to Hermosi this week, and I'd heard this before, but it was a nice reminder of it. And he was like, until you reach $1 million a year, one product, one, what was the word he used for it? Essentially one sales path, like either Facebook and Instagram or
True.
TikTok or eBay or Amazon, right? He was like one sales channel,
Mhm.
one product, and then like one focus. And he was like, do that until you reach $1 million and then consider branching out. Don't necessarily branch out, consider branching out. And so that's kind of the approach I'm going with. Scale this one product, have the other ones. Maybe if I find a really good ad that works for this product, I'll likely take that ad and then use the exact same framework for the other two products because they're in similar niches,
Right.
just to test them and see. And then the beauty of it too is that if I can get one of these products to hit with one of these ads to really take off, I can fund all my other tests just off that product and not even worry about money to have for these other products that I want to test. So
Right.
that's why I'm really just diving in, at least for the next little bit on this one product.
Mhm.
So this is the Excel spreadsheet printed out.
Hell yeah, dude.
So that is
Is this a book or
yeah. So each
hang on,
page
what are they
like this.
they're taped together? Got it.
Yeah. So that is
My stuff here.
this is what took me so long to create. Is it's listed out by the color is all the way on the left hand side, and then I have the creator and the name of the file. And then each one of these categories I filled out accordingly with a description and a screenshot of the thumbnails
Jesus.
from the creator. And
So
so
what does the color mean? Oh, it's the color.
that's the color of the product. Yeah.
Got it. And this is 50 pages.
It's 10 pages, I think, 10 or 11 pages.
Yeah, but there's
There's
like 40 rows.
460 rows total.
Yeah.
So it was a lot. And each one of those rows is a piece of content that I watched, categorized by a dozen different metrics, then put a comment in, right? And then organized accordingly inside the spreadsheet. So there's a large volume of work. And then additionally, what I've done too is in the actual Excel on the left-hand side over here, I can actually do drop downs so I can consolidate rows. Like if I'm not looking for anything pink, then I can consolidate that whole section and then it goes away. And then at the top, you can filter by like true or false.
Right.
And that way, like if I'm looking for some specific piece of content, some of the thumbnails are a little bit screwed up. So I can go back and fix that eventually, but I kind of, for myself, it doesn't really matter because I know what's in there. If I just see a couple pictures,
Yep.
like, oh yeah, I remember that batch, right? So for me, it's fine. It's not perfect if I were to hand it off to someone else.
Oh, so so these are the file names.
Yeah, those are the
Okay,
file
got it.
names on the
Okay,
left.
I see.
Yeah, and then those are the comments on the right.
Yeah, and then the screenshot, so you have an idea while you're in the Excel sheet of kind of what you're looking at.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
So
So these are big chunks. So
Yeah.
these are all the file thumbnails for all of these rows.
Yeah, and some of them didn't load for whatever reason.
Oh, so these are batches by creator.
Correct. Yep.
I understand. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I didn't
Yeah.
do it individually. I considered doing it individually. What I thought about doing is like, oh, what if each row had like a screenshot from the beginning, the middle, and the end of that clip?
All your rows are gonna be super wide.
That was the problem I came
They're
to,
tall.
was like these rows are going to be super wide. And even by the time I filter it down to like 10 different rows of
Yeah.
stuff that meets my criteria, it's still going to be like a scroll, 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 right? It's just going to be a nightmare to go through. So I was like, I'll just do a batch. I already know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
The rows, the big blocks over on the right with the content are merged together. So even if as I scale down the rows and I consolidate stuff and filter by true and false, those images stay with the rows that are still visible.
Right. So if even one of the criteria, even one of the rows in a batch
Yeah.
meets your criteria, you still see all the thumbnails. from that
Exactly.
batch.
Yep.
Got it. This is cool, dude.
Yeah, so these 4 pages you went through now were just pink.
Yeah. Well, now I'm getting
Now it's getting to blue.
yeah.
And so this is what I was, you know, laboring
big
through for weeks to try and make. And I'm really hoping this is actually a useful tool. But some of the
I can't imagine it not being.
yeah,
Right? Like if you
no,
just have to work off of like whatever's in the close, it's kind of like, oh, I'm building a video. The way that I work it usually when I'm making content is I have an idea and then I just have to do whatever it takes to get the idea to come to fruition. This is how I felt with the Kahuna Cravings stands with the leaves and stuff on it. I had that idea, and then I was like, I don't know where I'm gonna get the stuff, but I have to go find it. But if you have a shitload of files in a huge repository and you have to go through them one by one to find the clip that's in my head for the next thing, it takes a long time.
yes. It's very labor intensive.
Yeah.
So but, you know, some of the filters that I made were, you know, is it like a girl, kid visible in the video, a boy, are parents visible in the video? Is the gramophone visible? Are the cards visible? Are both visible? And then going through length, I can filter by length. I can filter by what's happening in the video. Are they dancing? Are they singing? Are they listening? Stuff
Picking
like that.
card, putting card. What is PPP?
Pick, put, play. That's an abbreviation I use to simplify my comments.
Pick,
So
did
did they pick a card? Did they put it on? And then did they play it?
Got it.
So that's kind of an abbreviation I use in my comments. Because otherwise, if I do like complete sentences for each comment, it
Too much.
makes the rows wider, makes it harder to sift through.
Yeah. Well, it's
So
also it doesn't read as easy. Like you only need a bullet point to understand what's going on. You don't need the whole
right,
gamut.
yeah. And so then I use commas and stuff like that, kind of make it like awkward lists that don't really read well, but I know what they're talking about.
ILLPHSKTKT. These are the names of the songs.
Yeah, they're abbreviated. So like
Got
HS
HSKTKT.
head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. That's the song.
Got it.
So, you know, kid song abbreviated.
So some of these rows don't have screenshots. Is that just because? Oh wait, hang on. These aren't checked at all.
So those two there,
Mhm.
that's a break. So the way the filtering works on Google Sheets is you have to have, if you're doing the drop down rows, you have to have a break between the rows. So for
Oh, weird.
otherwise it will combine together. Like if I have a drop down for blue from here to here, and then I have a yellow from here to here without a row break that's not drop down,
Got it.
it'll auto combine.
Interesting.
And so I have between the colors a blank row completely. And also this row is useful because it allows me to easily duplicate this row and add it in if I get more footage later on for this product in this color.
Yeah.
And then additionally, to prevent the merging issue, at the top of each creator, I have a completely blank row that just has the creator name.
Got it.
And it's you know, what's nice about it also is that I drop down the actual file names, but then I don't drop down the name because otherwise it would combine, A. But then B, it allows me, even when dropped down, I can see the other creators I have available that I've canceled out.
What do you mean you don't drop down the name?
So this name is not included in the condensing. So if I were to condense this creator here, I would condense all the file names, but the actual name, the title at the top here would not be condensed. So even if I'm like, I don't want to use this creator, I drop this menu out, it'll still display the name. So I can see that I have other names available. It doesn't completely hide it, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
You know, trying to make a hindrance in the software a tool for
Right.
ease of use,
So
essentially.
so blue, yellow, pink, and then a couple green at the bottom.
Yeah,
Does
just
the green not sell as well as the other ones?
it doesn't. I let creators
Huh.
choose what colors they wanted, and I figured that if I kind of let them choose what colors they wanted, it would be a good representation of like kind of how many colors I sell of each anyway,
Mhm.
because I'm selling to a very similar audience, and it actually ended up being that way.
Right.
I sell majority pink, majority of my content came back pink.
Right.
I sell just under that blue, which is how the content laid out, and then I sell some yellow and I sell very few green. And that's exactly how the content laid out. So
Huh. That's cool.
yeah, I kind of took a guess and I was like, maybe this will work, and it ended up working,
Yeah.
at least I think for now. But this took me a long time to make.
I mean, there's like 500 rows with videos in each.
Yeah.
Did you get any files that you were like, I'm just gonna delete this one? It's not good.
I didn't delete any file. What this column here on the side is a quality clip.
Mhm.
And this essentially says, like, do I think I could use this in an advertisement? Or is it super blurry? Is nothing really useful being shown here? Is it way too short, maybe, right? Stuff like that. Is the lighting just terrible and like I can't fix it, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's what this column is here. If it's a quality clip, I'll check it. It's something I can use. If
Yeah.
it's not a quality clip, I leave it unchecked, but I leave a comment as to still what's in it and why, and I still fill out the rows just in case I'm going through and I really need something specific and I can only find it in a low quality clip. If I ever wanted a different creator to redo it, I could send them that as an example,
Do it better.
you know? And then B, if with these, which we'll talk about with these new AI softwares coming out, if I eventually find a software that works really well for recreating clips and needs examples to work from, I still have it categorized. I can still pull from it eventually.
Right.
And it's content that I did pay for, so I might as well spend the 5 minutes to categorize it.
Right.
Um, so that's what I've spent weeks doing. And so far, I found it pretty darn handy for making the ads.
Mhm.
I have some clips that I've used for a while now that like I know are good, like,
Yeah.
that I just go back to. But I was looking for something specific and I just tried it out yesterday and I was like, oh shit, this is sick. And I actually found a couple holes in my content where I could go back to creators and be like, actually, I don't really have this clip that I envisioned in my head. I thought I did, but now going through all this content, I realized that I don't really have it, and I kind of wish I did. And so it finds me holes, and it allows me also now I can go to creators and be like, hey, instead of me just giving you like a generic brief, I'm gonna let you be creative, be a creator, create what content you want. But I also, if you can, would like to see these 3 clips
Mhm.
in your footage.
Right.
And then those 3 clips can fill some gap I have in here. And then I just get an additional content of whatever they create, whatever they want to make creatively,
Do
I can just add.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that this allows me to kind of expert. And I didn't realize that until I started using it. I didn't realize that when I initially went out to make it. I was like, oh, I'll just use this for editing. But after making it, I'm like, oh shit, like I can use this to create ad briefs for creators that are more targeted that can get me the content that I need, not just general content that I have to sift through.
Yeah.
And so that I didn't realize until like I made it and started using it. So seems obvious in retrospect, but it's seeming to be a good tool. I'm really happy it's done because I didn't enjoy really any piece of making this. It
So
was just terrible to make.
did it suck to do because you had so much stuff to go through and categorize from the get-go? But if you started from the beginning, then it would be more tolerable?
It would definitely be more tolerable if I started from the beginning, because what made this terrible is that the first 2 hours are fine. It's like, oh, this is like cute and fun. I get to watch some clips and take some notes. And then by like hour 3, you're like, okay, I'm a little bit tired. And by like hour 6
Yeah.
or 9,
Yeah.
you're like, this is pain.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why this was so laborious to make, is because I didn't, in order to finish it in a decent amount of time, I actually had to just force myself to sit down and do it, because after like 15 hours of doing this over a couple days, you really don't want to go back to it the 3rd day,
Yeah,
or the
of
4th
course.
day, or the 5th day, right? And so, like, at that point, you're just forcing yourself to get through it because you know exactly what the experience is going to be like, and it's just going to suck.
Yeah.
And so that part was zero fun,
Yeah.
right? What I'm hoping is that now, since I made it for one product, if I really love it, I'll at least get like a little bit more fire rather than just like my brute force.
Well, no, you know,
Already get it done for other products.
right now you know it's worth it.
Yeah.
But what I'm also thinking is, if you did want, and if you did ever want to get in the business of building stores that have potential, but not as much potential as you would be comfortable with, you could sell it to other people, but include this as a product with that. And so then
Yeah.
buying stores from you is better than buying stores from your mentor, because although you got files and clips, you didn't get the matrix that you can offer with all the breakdown.
Yeah, it's I think I mentioned this early on too, but I'm trying to build a system alongside my process.
Right.
And so this is, a part of that system that I'm trying to build. And so it's something that I hope will be handy, and we'll see how it goes. But
Yeah.
I'm very happy that this is done. It felt awesome to have this and go back into creating ads. So like genuinely creating them, not just like trying to like mix and match and throw something out there, right?
Right.
I felt like I actually had more tools at my disposal, and I had more information and insight, which is something that I really enjoyed. And hopefully it'll pay for itself in the amount of time I save on future ad creation.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how long you make the ads for, but I think even if it doesn't cut down on any time, like even if you spent 200 hours building the sheet and then over the course of the next year you only spend 180 hours like making ads or whatever, it's still, I think, streamlines the creative process where you can still more accurately make content that you are visualizing.
Yeah.
So I think even if the time investment doesn't pay off, I think that the friction investment will.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm hoping too that, as the product grows and as I build more advertisements and as we come more into quarters 3 and 4 and things start to scale up and grow, that when I'm in that, like, especially quarter 4 grind, that this will really help me crank out quality ads quickly.
Right.
Because right now I can crank out like good ads quick enough,
Hmm.
but once revenue starts coming in and I really want to scale up quick, like I'm going to need to create ads very quickly and very efficiently. And so, yes, I'm getting better at the process, but I'm also going to need a way to be better on the back end of actually getting the footage that I need and putting it in there.
Right.
So I'm hoping that this pays itself off, at least from a friction perspective, by the time quarters for,
3 and 4.
yeah, we really get into those. So
Hell yeah.
super happy to have this done. I want to print it out to show you.
Yeah.
So
We can take pictures and drop it in.
yeah, I can drop in like a
Yeah.
screen recording
I
of
meant
me
to
scrolling through
I
it.
meant to take video when I was showing you the car last week to put in the podcast, and then I totally forgot about it
Yeah.
until I was watching the podcast, writing the timestamps, and I was like, "Oh, I never did that."
All good. We can take some photos or videos or whatever. Or
That's part of my
it's
level
on,
up,
but oh, got it.
Yeah.
But additionally, I got a lot of business updates this week. Finally had
Hell
some
yeah.
time. I tried out Zeely AI, which is it's like an ad creation AI software. I was curious. And it'll like do AI work in order to like make static ads better, or to spruce up your video ads, or it has like AI generated creators that are like pretty realistic, and they're improving continuously. And so I just want to try it out. It's definitely not up to the bar of where I'm like, this is as good as creator content. It's definitely not there, but I see a couple spots where it could be useful.
Mhm.
If I'm looking for just a general creator to say something real quick, that's relatively simple, and then I pan over to like the actual product videos, it could be useful for that. If I want like if I have some comments on my page or other testimonials that I've gotten and I want to put them into video format, but I haven't had a creator film them yet, it could be a good way to just test if that style of hook works.
Right.
Or just iterating different hooks with a creator in person, or iterating different types of creators, like male versus female, or older versus younger, or whatever, right? Like that kind of iteration, it could work well for that. They're pretty realistic, they're good. They're not like super awesome, but they're good for like simpler stuff and testing. So I think it's worth it on some fronts. Is it like the vision that I one day hope to have it, in terms of a tool? No, but it's a good start. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah, some of the AI videos are getting pretty convincing these
Mm.
days, even if there's just clips. When I was doing the treasure hunting stuff, I went through that documentary like frame by frame, and at multiple instances in that documentary, there were a handful of frames that I could tell they had given AI the video clip and then said, "Can you just like extend this clip by like 4/10 of a second or something?"
Mm,
And it was totally convincing if you didn't go through it frame by frame.
yeah.
So I don't think we're very far off.
No, not far at all. And I think that's partially changing the game of what we have later on in
Yeah.
the segment too. But I tried out that AI program. Good for some stuff, not as good for other stuff. That's cool. It's still under development. All of this stuff is in terms of AI assistance and whatever.
Yeah.
But happy to have that tool at my disposal. Additionally, um, speaking of AI tools that are going under development and improving continuously, 11 Labs is a company I mentioned a while back for voiceovers. They're really good for voiceover audio, really realistic.
Mhm.
They have a new feature. It's not perfect, but when it if y- if you can enunciate well enough
Mhm.
and be relatively clear, and really say each word, like when you're going through this, it'll make sense in a second. But like if I were to say couldn't for couldn't,
Yeah.
right? It's not going to quite pick it up very well.
Right.
So you got to really enunciate like your T's.
Could not or couldn't.
Yeah, right. Or toddler, it might struggle with a little bit because that T at the start, right? So there's certain words that it struggles with a little bit, but 11 Labs has a new feature where I can take my voice reading a script, and this is what I came to doing this is what I eventually ended up doing that made it the best possible version I could. Is I take a raw audio recording of myself talking through the script. Then I put it in Adobe Podcast Enhance, which is the program we use for our audio, in order to kind of clean it up a little bit, take out
News to
any
me.
little background noise,
Adobe, what
whatever.
is it? Adobe.
Adobe Podcast Enhance. But I think if you look up Adobe Audio Enhance just on Google, like a regular search, it'll come up. So
That in my pocket for later.
that's what we use here on this podcast. But that's also what I used for my raw audio clips. I put it in that. Quick tip for you: I put it at 70% enhancing and 10% background noise, and I find that to be the cleanest, natural sounding. 65 to 70% enhancement with 10% background noise. If you lower the background noise too much, it sounds fake, and
Yeah.
then when you raise the enhance too much, you get weird artifacts.
Yeah, I got you.
And so,
This will come into play later. This is a Mazda tool that will come in handy later.
yeah, that's what I do with the raw audio, and then I take that enhanced clip from Adobe Enhance, and I put it in 11 Labs, and 11 Labs has a new feature where if you upload an audio recording from any of the hundreds of voices that they have, I can choose a voice and it will convert it into that voice.
Interesting.
And it's not like if you're able to enunciate your words well and get a clean audio clip in there, it is shocking how well it transitions over, because it doesn't just change your voice. It takes all of your tonalities and everything, like how you express it and say it, or if you whisper it or you shout it or you change your influx and how you say it, like it will mimic all of that
Huh.
to the voiceover.
That's weird.
And it's like me speaking, but in any voice I want.
Huh.
And it sounds so real. And then on top of that, they've added a feature
Do you want to
where
insert one here?
I could probably do that.
Do you want to play with that? Here.
Yeah.
Why don't you read just the first paragraph here of our intro, and then we'll leave a gap and play, or like pause it and then put the audio of the AI doing it in Bill's voice.
That'd be cool.
Okay, cool.
This is the Vision 79 podcast, where my friend Sander and myself, Mason, discuss recent developments in our business and personal growth. The name Vision 79 comes from our respective racing numbers. Sanders is 40, mine is 39. And we have similar ambitions to progress in business and personal growth. So you see, you have to kind of enunciate a little bit, but
Yeah.
we'll play the
Cool.
audio.
This is the Vision 79 podcast, where my friend Sander and myself, Mason, discuss recent developments in our business and personal growth. The name Vision 79 comes from our respective racing numbers. Sanders is 40, mine is 39. And we have similar ambitions to progress in business and personal growth.
I'm excited to hear what this actually sounds like. I follow your account on TikTok, so I think I've probably seen. I have heard AI voices there before, but I don't know which ones are typing say this or speaking say this.
All of them so far have been typing say this.
Right. Okay, so I haven't heard this kind of.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Stoked.
Additionally, they have a new voiceover feature where the text to audio, they have a new version out, and it's like way more advanced in terms of its enunciation, and you can actually add blocks in there, like tell it to whisper or tell it to shout, or you can add multiple voices in the same track and have transitional voices. Like 11 Labs is super awesome for voiceover stuff, and I really like it because it's not one of those tools that tries to do everything. It just tries to do one thing super well.
Yeah.
And so that I really like about it. It's not gonna be some video editor. It's not gonna generate photos for you or any of this other stuff. It's just gonna do voiceover stuff, and that's all it does, and it does it really well.
It does it well.
And so I really like that about it. Just simple. Some of these AI programs that try to just do everything do nothing well, and it just becomes frustrating to work with them.
Right.
And so CapCut I like because CapCut honestly is really good. It has its quirks and whatever, but it does have a bunch of AI programs, but some of them work really well. Some of them are kind of mediocre, but overall the platform is really good. And so I like that aspect of it. Sometimes it can be slow. That just is how it is. But overall I like CapCut, but then there are other tools out there that just clearly try to do too much and they never really hit the mark on anything.
Right.
And so I like 11 Labs for that. But additionally, I got some more content back for the wheel product I'm running for creators. So I haven't organized that. I haven't done a spreadsheet for any other products, but
Right.
I did get some more content back. And I already talked about the ad account delivery thing. But that's what I have for business. So
Cool, dude.
much longer update this week.
Sounds like
Happy with the progress.
Yeah.
Getting back in the groove of things. So how about you? What do you have for business this week?
Hell yeah, dude. I've got a bunch of stuff kind of all over the place. But we'll go one by one. So I'm making a concerted effort to um put more emphasis on social media, right?
Mhm.
Because when someone hears about you in real estate, they're either meeting you in person, in which case I don't need my social media because they're talking to me, so I can give my expert persona in front of you. Or they're seeing an advertisement about you online, or they got a referral, right? And if they get a referral, they're probably going to go to your social media before they talk to you in person. So you have to have a good face on social media, right? So I've talked about it before. I'm trying to give more effort into the social media stuff, right? At this point, I've done enough open houses that I have a decent amount of content on the social media so that if someone finds me, they'll maybe trust me with their services, right? And actually, I got contacted by someone in West Virginia this week, and they said, "Hey, we found you online. We have clients that are moving to your area. Would you like to do a referral fee?" So they're gonna give my contact information to their clients for them to reach out to me. I'm gonna help them buy a home, and then I give 25% of my commission to them for giving me the referral,
Mm.
right? And I was like, okay, this is probably a scam. Sure, it sounds good. I'll do it. And then they emailed me a referral agreement, and they work with Remax, so they're like an actual
Oh,
a real people. And I was like, dude, how did you guys find me? And I sent that message at like midnight last night, so I haven't gotten a response yet. But I'm interested to see how they found me because that means that something with my social media is working, and I need to double down on whatever that is. But now that I have a decent content base built up, now I'm ready to start progressing my follower and the people that I'm reaching out to. Um, and most of the people in my suggested box on Facebook and Instagram I've already followed. Most of them are people I know from college or they work with me or something like that. It's people that are in my life right now. But an untapped market that Tyler recently turned me on to is people who you went to high school with. I don't follow anybody who I went to high school with. And it's largely because I wasn't super close with everyone from high school. And at the time, I wasn't big into social media. But now I have to be big into social media. And I feel like most people I got along with pretty well in high school. And so instead of going back to my yearbook, I went back and found my high school graduation live stream on YouTube. And I went name by name and I followed everybody on social media if I could
oh
find
wow.
them. So that was a solid like 200 people that I followed, and most of them have followed me back already, which is pretty cool. And so now I can compare my business account with my personal account. I followed everyone on my personal account because I still put real estate stuff on my personal account. And I'm kind of I'm on the fence on whether or not I should follow everyone on the business account. Because on the one hand, if I follow them and they didn't know about my business account, they can follow me back. But on the other hand, if I follow them and they don't give a fuck, I'm just going to ratio myself into oblivion with me following 50,000 people and only having like 150
Yeah.
followers, right? So I haven't really committed to that yet. But my idea being grow the personal one as much as possible. If someone's interested in the real estate stuff, they'll see it on my personal or follow my business, right?
Mhm.
So where I'm at right now on Instagram, my business has 61 followers and my personal has 796. So it's just under 10% of what my personal is. My highest viewed post on my business has just over 1,000 views, or sorry, just over 1,100 views. And then my personal
Oh,
is
wow.
just over 1,300. So in terms of following count, way less followers on the business, but it's got pretty close to the same level of like highest viewed post. Which is interesting. And
This is on Facebook?
this is on Instagram.
Okay.
And what's interesting to me is that the highest viewed post on my business page was a post that I collaborated with my personal account on. So it's one post that each of the accounts gets a bonus for, right?
Okay.
So I'm able to leverage my following on my personal account to get views and traction into my business account.
Got it. That's cool.
And so I did that with a post that I made after finding this out. I did that with a post I made yesterday,
Mhm.
and that one's doing really well too. Facebook, on the other hand, is a totally different beast. I far prefer Instagram to Facebook. I haven't learned about all the analytics and metrics from Facebook yet, but from what I looked into a few days ago when I wrote this, my business account has 1 follower, and that's my personal account. And my personal Facebook has 346 friends. So huge discrepancy, right? Highest viewed post on my business is, I think, 17 people. And then my personal, it doesn't show you analytics. So
Mhm.
Facebook, although I'm going to end up having to run ads on Facebook, the analytics I'm not impressed with, which sucks because Instagram seems to be doing it really easily for me. It's digestible.
Yeah.
They're owned by the same company.
Once you start running ads on Facebook or through Meta specifically, which runs them on Facebook and Instagram together,
Right.
you get a lot more analytics to pull through.
But you get the analytics on the ads, not the posts, right? Or do you get it on posts?
Well, they are one and the same. So
Oh.
when you run ads, you run an advertised post essentially. So you create a post, but you run it as an advertisement in the sense that I pay for people to see this post.
It's like boosting the posts on Instagram.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in that case, I definitely will be getting better analytics.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's good to look for.
Yeah. No, you'll get real analytics through Facebook, and it has, if I'm recalling correctly, it has 12 different locations that it posts your post in when you run it through Meta. Because it will post it on Facebook, but then there's also Facebook Reels, and then there's Instagram, and then there's Instagram Reels, and then there's Instagram Stories, and then there's Instagram like highlight page or search by page. Like there's a bunch of different pages internally to each platform that it runs your advertisement in. And then the algorithm through Facebook will cater your advertisement to whatever it sees as the best audience to shoot for, right? And then there's different types of your campaign type on your Meta ads is important too. Are you running a sales campaign? Are you running an engagement campaign? Are you running a leads campaign? Right? Like there's a bunch of different styles. For real estate, I don't know like what you would specifically run, but I know that the engagement campaign I've run in the past, and you can reach a lot of people for a relatively low price.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's it. That's as far as my knowledge goes in terms of like engagement style stuff. All of my campaigns, besides warm up campaigns and a couple small things that I tested, have been sales campaigns.
Yeah.
But that's looking for people who
Will
are
press the button
clicking
now.
on the button and want to buy something.
Right. Exactly.
So
Yeah. I'm thinking that the next phase following the open house phase for me is likely going to be either Facebook ads or cold calling, and I'm not sure which I want to do yet. I'm leaning more toward cold calling because of the skill set that I can build from that, but I haven't decided. Anyways, it's funny you mentioned the highlights and the stories and reels and stuff like that, because this weekend I learned how to edit in Instagram Reels. I have been making so far. I have been making stories at open houses and not many posts. I'll make a post advertising for the open house earlier in the week, and then day of I put everything on my story. And that gets pretty decent views. At the very least, I'm happy with it because it's something that I can put in my highlights on my page for people to look at later, and it's a high volume content, right? And it's been decent quality, I think, so far. I'm still getting used to the editing and stuff like that. I think I edit pretty well. Like my old YouTube videos, I went back and rewatched them recently. I think I did well. I just don't think I enjoyed the process. So it's one of those things where it's like I don't enjoy it, but I'm good at it. So this weekend, we did an open house at a beautiful home I'll talk about it more later. But I was like, I want to make a higher quality video here that isn't just going to get lost in the stories. I want it to be on my page. And so you can do that through Instagram Reels. And I went in to make the post expecting that it would be the same kind of process as an Instagram story, but it's different because on the bottom, it's got a timeline where you can insert different audio and insert different graphics and you can have it move around and change and such. And I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. This is similar to the editing software that I'm used to from when I used to do YouTube videos. And Grace was like, oh, if you like that, you should go try TikTok. And I was like, I tried TikTok a long time ago. I didn't really like it. I didn't understand it. It was confusing. She was like, they've done a lot of updates since you tried it last time. You should try it out. So I made my reel yesterday. I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I posted it. It's getting good engagement, so I'm happy with it. And then this morning, I started the same process on TikTok to see if I can get familiar with that. Actually, both of the TikTok videos I have on my personal account have like 1,000 views, which ain't bad. So if I make a real estate one, then maybe I can get free views that way too. And when we did videos for Vision 79 on TikTok, we had people come up to us all the time and be like, "Oh, it recommended you to us because we know you." So
Yeah.
that's, I think, probably a pretty cheap way I can get eyes on my content. But in any case, that's kind of my social media update for the week.
Nice.
Yeah, we also went to the Melbourne City Town Hall meeting this week. They have one every 2 weeks. This week's was a little bit interesting because they got real heated at one of the people speaking. And the whole fiasco is Melbourne wants to build a new fire department, like a new building, right? Because their current one is run down. It needs to be replaced, right? And so they hired an architect to come out and design one. And he's looking at putting it in, there's like a big recreational park. And he's like, if we chop off like 10% of the park, we can build the fire department right there. Big, beautiful building, looks fantastic, ready to go. Apparently it's state funding, so it's not like we're paying for it with our tax dollars, right? But all of the residents that live around that park are upset about it, right? And the everyone had their public comments, everybody had their say and expressed how upset they are about it. And then the mayor started speaking, and he was just as upset as they were. And he was like, I can't, our staff has let us down. I can't believe they didn't look into other sites because they only looked at this park and they only designed for this park and they didn't look anywhere else. And this is a shame. This is a travesty. They need to do a better job. And the other council members shared the same opinion. And I was like, whoa, hang on, Bubba. This, like, the staff works for you. You're the leader of the staff. So if you have a major project like this, you should be more involved. But B, if you fuck up, you should be taking ownership of it instead of like misplacing it all on people who are lower.
Yeah.
Which is
yeah.
gross. Which is gross.
Also, like, way to make your staff not work harder for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, number one way, criticize them publicly and shame them for the work that they put in.
Yep.
Number one way to get your staff to not like working for you.
Yeah. I was surprised. I have seen him. His name is Mayor Paul Alfrey. And I've seen him get kind of upset at people before. And I think that largely in the past, it was because he cares about the city, right? And so when something's going on, he gets emotional. So at one point earlier in the meeting, they were talking about something like single vote districts or something like that, which is basically in a district within Brevard County, you vote for your city council member and no one else, right? But the way it actually works is if you live in Brevard, you have a say in who wins in each of the districts. So I can vote for someone who lives in a district that I don't live in, and then they can win, right? And some of the people recently, the votes just happened in November, I think. So some of the residents were like, hey, we should switch to single district voting because it's a more accurate representation of what our district wants. And one of the rebuttals from the mayor, who apparently ran on a campaign of when I become mayor, I want to make these single district votings. And then that wound up not happening. At least that's what one of the residents said in his public comment today. I don't know if it's true. He was like, you said you're going to do this and we voted you in and you haven't done it. What's the deal? And so one of the defenses was, well, in that case, what's to stop a politician from funneling a ton of money into a single district and then winning that district and then like kind of owning that district, right? Like we all live in the same county. And so someone from the north end of the county should have a say in what someone in the south end of the county does so that the wealth is more evenly distributed, right? That was kind of their rebuttal. I don't have a ton of information on it, but one of the residents came up and they were like, what do you mean by like, which district do you think is the poorest district? And I could tell that she was being like kind of instigatory. She wanted them to be like, oh, district whatever 12 is the poorest district and it's the worst place, right? Um, and one of the city council members was like, "That's not what I meant. This is what I meant." Blah, blah, blah. He kind of got a little heated, and I get it because she was kind of trying to be instigatory. But he and the mayor like lit this lady up, and I was like, "Well, hang on, okay. Mathematically, there is a poorest district, right? And if you can't calmly and rationally defend your position, then you should reconsider your position instead of getting upset with someone."
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a bummer to see politicians who should be the best of us get upset with people. So
He ain't even fucking close to the best of us.
yeah, it was
Just about fucking close.
but we had to leave the meeting early. The trend recently has been we sit through the first half of the meeting and then the city council members start to squabble and get emotional about stuff, and then we go to trivia at Pauhana because that's a better use of my time.
Fair enough.
But so not only are we getting a new fire department in Melbourne, but there's Top Golf moving to Vieira, which is fantastic for the people
Cool.
living in Vieira, and it's going to draw a lot of people into the Vieira area. I think people looking to move to Melbourne would highly consider Vieira because Top Golf is that popular. So that's my first little chunk. I have spoken before about my commercial client who I'm working with, one of my real estate buddies who's looking for a big plot of land, right? He messaged us this week out of the clear blue, and he was like, "Here's this piece of property I just drove by. I'm interested in buying it. Can you find out more about it?" Right? It's like a $50,000 vacant plot. And we're like, "You've been looking at stuff closer to $1 million that has buildings on it. Why are you now looking at a vacant lot?" I don't know. I'm just going to find out what I can about the lot, right? So I went to Brevard County Property Appraisers and I found out that it was owned by, I'm going to leave the names out of it, John Doe's Jr.'s trust. So John Doe's son. And in pulling up the mailing address for the property, it seems to be a dud because it's at a different property in the same city, but it's like a strip mall. There's like a business there, right? And that business is not owned by the people in the trust. So I'm thinking that the mailing address just hasn't been updated in a while. So I don't know how to find these people, right? So I gave it to Grace because I was at work. I can't deal with it right now. And Grace found the guy in the trust.
Oh, cool.
He's dead. His son, also in the trust, is like 76 years old. And she found his contact information, like valid as of March 2025, so a few months ago. And I was like, awesome. So I give that to my real estate partner. I'm like, call this guy today, see if we can get a hold of him. He calls, the line is disconnected. So, I mean, he was 76. Maybe he's died since then, right? So I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't know how else we're going to find out about this property. And so that night I buckled down and I was like, I'm going to figure out how to find the person who owns this spot, right? So it turns out that the property just north of it is owned by the same trust. And that property has a business on it. So I can learn about that business history, right? So I go to the Brevard County Clerk of Courts and I do an official document search for that plot of land. And I find a partial mortgage release from 1996, which names not only the owners of the trust, but the 5 listed trustees of that trust. And of all those people, I found one of them that might be still alive, but critically, I found his son that is definitely still alive, who can help us find the people in that trust. So I went kind of crazy and I pulled up the Brevard County the plat maps to make sure that I was looking at the right property. So I found the township and the section and the range, and I found like the plot. I was like, this is for sure the plot. And so I found all that, right? Give the phone number to my real estate buddy, go back to work, whatever. And the next day he calls me back and he was like, "Hey, our client has found another property that he likes that's totally different from the $50,000 vacant plot. He's like looking for new things." I'm like, fucking Christ. Okay. So I got an awesome lesson in doing all this digging to find someone, right? Con, this doesn't seem like it's the right property for him. Okay. I'll take the lesson, right? Which is now I know how to use the Clerk of Court's official document lookup, and I know how to read plat maps using the Brevard County plat map tool. So those are cool. There was then a new update, which is previously his budget was around the $800,000, $900,000 mark, right? It is tough to find a property that fits the bill in the area that they're looking for at that price point, right? There's not a lot of these properties for sale to begin with, but especially in this specific area, right? So we've kind of struggling to find a spot for him, right? So we go, "Oh, hey, like you said, you're interested in a vacant lot. We can find one in the area that you like better that's on the market right now. What do you think?" He's like, "I don't know." But we got a critical piece of information, which he said, "I can do like 900K Or if you can find a property that has tenants on it already that are paying monthly rent, we can go above that. And I'm like, holy shit, because there's a ton of options in like the 1.2, $1.3 million range that have tenants right now. And so I found several of them that have income producing tenants above $10,000 a month that can help offset the cost of the mortgage when he buys the property. And so we sent them to him this week, and I was like, dude, I think some of these are going to be really good fits. My real estate partner, who knows him better as a client, is like, dude, I think he's going to go crazy for this one in particular. This one's like perfect. So I sent that to him, and I'm hoping to hear back from him this week on it and do some showings.
Cool.
But that is good motion in the commercial client field.
Nice.
So following that, one of my coworkers, who he's actually a higher level engineer than me, but he is my assistant on the program that we're working, the product that we're building. So it's kind of funny because it's like he knows more about engineering than I am, but less about the specific program that we're working in. So he's kind of like following my asks, which is cool. But he took a new job in a different part of the county, and he asked me for resources because he might be interested in renting out his current place when he moves. So he'll move into a place that he rents, and then he'll rent out the home he lives in right now. And so he was like, "Do you know who I should talk to about that?" And I was like, "Yeah, you should talk to an attorney and then a property management company if you want people to find tenants for you, right?" He was like, "That would be great." So I had Grace talk to our broker, and I got that resources for him. And then I was like, "Were you looking at moving?" He told me, and I was like, "We'll find options." And he was like, "Well, I'm not looking to move for like 2 months." And I was like, "That's cool. We're just going to get our feet on the ground and see kind of what's available out there." Um, and he was super appreciative of that. So that's potentially what I would call a mid lead or a midterm lead, which is like the next 3 to 6 months, right? Um, so that was good. We also had a showing this week, which is fantastic because we haven't had a client since we closed on our house in April. I guess Callie and Zeke are clients because we help them find the apartment. But when you're helping someone rent a place, they don't have to sign a buyer broker agreement because they're not buying, they're renting. But we found our investment property person. This is the same person that it's the lead that I almost fumbled, and then we made it back again. Um, we showed them 2 small buildings on a small plot, that were pretty old, but one of them has been recently renovated, and one of them, the bigger of the 2 buildings, needs renovation, but that's what they're looking for. And all of it was going well. We were writing out our list of questions to ask the listing agent, and it seemed like the right property for them. And then as we were standing where we were parked, it doesn't have a driveway, it's just like a gravel lot. Um, as we were standing there talking, getting ready to leave, the neighbor pulled up, and they were like, "Hey, can you move your cars? I have to get to my driveway." And we were like, "Oh yeah." So we backed the cars out onto the road, and then we realized that these 2 houses are next to each other and they share a driveway. So you each drive into the driveway together, and then it's shaped like a T where you turn left or right to park in your own driveway.
Yeah.
And our client was like, "Oh, that's not gonna work for me because I want tenants in both of these buildings, so we're gonna have a minimum of 3 cars, and there's just not space because then you're blocking the other person or person is in the other building's driveway." And we were like, "Fuck, that's a great point." So we looked up the plot next to it isn't for sale. We looked up the property lines. It looks like the driveway is actually on our property's property line, but with the way the fence is set up in the neighbor's yard, we have the right to tell them, "Hey, this is our driveway. You can't use it anymore." But then they have to rip up their fence, and that's not cool. Not a great way to make a new neighbor, right? So I think ultimately we're going to end up looking at other properties. But the big deal here is that we have a buyer broker agreement signed. They really loved how we conducted the showing and the information that we had.
Mm.
So I'm happy. We now officially have a client. Like I learned in my realtor training the other day, it's a customer if they haven't signed an agreement, they're a client if they do. So now we officially have another client, which is a great feeling.
Nice.
Yeah. Um, so this weekend we did an open house at a $2 million beach home. So like on the beach,
Nice.
backyard is the sand, right? And it was absolutely gorgeous. Ahead of time, I wanted to learn more about the properties in the area because I haven't done a showing or an open house at a beachside home yet, right? I've been to beachside homes growing up here, but I haven't actually looked at selling one yet. So during that kind of annoying Melbourne town hall meeting, I learned more about beachside homes. So I learned that condos kind of remind me of shotgun homes. Are you familiar? The shotgun homes are really affordable housing that they just drop down, and they call it a shotgun home because if you're standing at the front door and you open it, you can shoot a shotgun straight through the back door.
Oh
Like
god.
they're long, thinner
Yeah.
homes. Condos kind of reminded me of that, and I think the reason is because the condo association on the beach wants to prioritize window space as much as possible, right? So how many units can we get that has a nice window view? So a lot of condos have really narrow, really tall windows, and then it's a really deep unit, which is kind of interesting to me. Many of the homes beachside are on septic and well water because they're beachside, so it's not as easy to hook them up to the public utilities. Most of the homes on the beach hover around the $2 million price range, depending on the size of the property, right? Condos range from 800,000 to 1.5 million. But if you just go 1 to 2 streets over from the beach, homes can run as low as 200,000 without a garage, or 400,000 with a garage, which I thought was pretty interesting because you're a short walk. Like, you could see the beach from home, but you're not on the beach, but you can get it for less than a tenth of the price of a beach home, right? And our open house was absolutely stunning. It had these huge, like, $25,000 hurricane. They must have been that expensive. A sliding glass door, hurricane rated glass doors on the second floor overlooking the water. Gorgeous, right? And this was the moment that I was like, I want to film some higher quality content here. And so Grace busted out her fancy camera. I got the gimbal on the iPhone. I'm looking at getting a gimbal for her fancy camera because I think we could do a lot of cool stuff with that, right? And so we filmed this video, and then I learned how to edit on Instagram, like I said earlier. But I'm really happy with how that went. We had 3 groups come in total. One of them was actually with their agent, so they scheduled the showing in the middle of our open house, which is cool. We got to show them around. One of them already had an agent, and they kind of like weren't really interested because they're like, this home in particular doesn't fit what we need. And I was like, there's a bunch of other ones that fit your desires. I'd be happy to send them to you. And they're like, we have a good relationship with the people that sold us our home. I was like, okay. But the last group was interested in the home. They liked the way that it was built. They loved the views. They aren't happy that it's on well water, but they don't have an agent yet. And so I was like, I know about some homes that are a little bit further north in Satellite Beach that are on city water, not well water. I'd be happy to send them to you. They left us their real phone number.
That fucking city water either, but
well,
I mean, it's okay.
Yeah. They left their
I don't trust any of the water in Florida though, so don't take my opinion too seriously.
because it smells like eggs.
Sometimes it does, and I feel like it's got chemicals in it,
I have no idea.
as all good city water has.
I think a lot of people have an issue with well water because it's harder water. Is that true? I've never understood the difference.
I just know that chlorine and fluoride can be good for you, and has been shown to not be good for you.
Yeah.
And this myth of, oh, it's good for your teeth is dumb as fuck because you drink it, you don't swash it around in your mouth and spit it out. And so,
in the water?
yeah, like in the tap water.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it will help your teeth. And I'm like, I'm drinking it, not washing it around my mouth.
I don't know.
And so I just don't trust city water.
Understand.
Try to get good filtered water.
Are you on
bottled water? I'm not sure what I'm on, but I drink like gallon water anyway.
Gotcha.
Like, I just have a dispenser, and I get like either like real spring water or like drinking water that's not,
I hear you.
fluoride and chlorine and bunch of other shit.
Yeah.
Because especially the water at work, dude. Holy shit! Like, I take the water at work, I put it in a bottle, I'll leave it in my drawer in like the dark for a week. You open it up, it smells rank. Like, it'll throw you back.
Gross.
Yeah, like there's something wrong with some of the water around Florida for sure.
That's gross.
Dude, it'll literally like smell like rank mold. Like, just a clean bottle closed with water in it,
Really?
like tap water from work.
Yikes.
You put it in your drawer for a week.
Bacteria in it.
Yeah,
Nasty.
it's nasty, dude.
Well, I'm gonna try and help find this lady a place on city water. Grace actually pulled up a couple good options last night, so we're gonna reach out to them. That could be a potential client, which is pretty cool. And we have already scheduled an open house at the same spot next weekend. I'm hoping for a better turnout because there's the Cocoa Beach Air Show this weekend, both days in the middle of our open house. So hopefully we'll get more people next weekend. But even if we don't, I've got an idea to film more content at that place. And now I'm more familiar with Instagram Reels. So I'm actually considering filming content and then editing it later so I can emphasize filming more content between groups coming through for the open house. But I'm looking forward to it. My last business update is actually a promotion because the second guest on our podcast, Christian Dossett, is now a Blue Marlin real estate agent, and he just got his first listing, and I think it's on the market now. I saw his listing video recently, but congrats to Christian. Proud of you, buddy. And that's it. That's my business update.
Oh, well, very nice.
What do you have for your life update?
So for life this week, mostly business stuff, thankfully, but just did a little bit of house cleaning, and I'm preparing for a shipping container to arrive from Massachusetts with a bunch of stuff in it.
With all your stuff?
From my dad's house. Not from
That's what most of your stuff is, though, right?
No, most of my stuff's at my mom's.
How big is the shipping container?
It's not big, like 5x7, and then I don't think it's fully filled.
Got it. Okay, that's not bad.
So something like that. But it's, stuff I have to deal with. So
What you
kind
got?
of did a little bit of house cleaning.
These are bikes.
Probably bicycles. I think my drum set is in there. Maybe my electric keyboard. Other knickknack stuff that I have. Go-kart racing tools. Other odds and ends.
Cool, dude.
Yeah. Something that's pretty cool that I don't want to spoil on the podcast because Sammy's probably listening, and I specifically didn't tell her about it, so that I could surprise her with it.
Okay,
So,
sounds good.
but yeah, cool stuff.
Cool. It'd be nice to get that down.
Yeah, I guess so. So it's a little bit of a headache to deal with, but just trying to prep the space a little bit for that. So
Cool.
yeah. But that's all I had for life. What do you have for
Hell of
life?
a life. I don't have a ton either. Brief update on the Lexus. After realizing that we didn't film anything for the podcast when I showed you the car last week, I was like, actually, I should get some good photos of the car before it gets destroyed, as it undoubtedly will in my care, as the Camaro is in horrific condition. So Grace and I took the car to the Florida Tech parking garage at Sunset on one of the weekdays this week and took some really cool photos. And then Grace edited them, and they came out fucking fantastic. And she took some video too with her cameras. She doesn't have a gimbal for the camera, so the video kind of came out a little bit choppy. But overall, I think it was pretty good. This is the kind of photos that
Oh, nice.
she took a bunch of really good ones. So that was fun. That was a fun little break in my week. I also got floor mat pins on the driver's side because when I bought the car, it came without the pins. So I could put all the other floor mats in, but not the driver's side ones. So I got those pins from Lexus in Melbourne. I also got an all-weather mat for the trunk. So now I've got a rubber layer protecting the carpet, which is a big deal because with the open house signs, they're always wet or dirty or whatever. And I have and still put a towel down, but still, in case some stuff gets through the towel, now the carpet is protected.
Every sedan that I've either owned or driven for an extended period of time has had its trunk liner abused.
Yeah, exactly, right? And
Every
that's
single one.
exactly what I'm trying to avoid. And the mat is really nice, so I'm happy that I got it. It fits perfect.
Yeah.
I also am going to be getting a custom license plate. And when we had to take the plates off the Kia, we have to mail them up to New York for her family to deal with giving them back to the DMV or whatever. I don't really know what the deal is.
Yeah, they told me how to do that. I never fucking did that.
Yeah, I didn't
Stupid.
for the Firebird or anything either. I don't know what the deal is, but
They tell you do, but you don't have to. They don't check in on you.
got it.
So like if you never do it,
Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah.
I cleaned them and I was like, these are filthy. Even clean, they're still dirty. And then I realized every time I clean my car, the Camaro, I spend a long time pressure washing the license plate because it gets disgusting and for some reason never cleans up well. And I was like, man, I want to keep this car nice as long as I can because this is my comfortable car, right? And if I'm getting a custom license plate, because I'm not just getting the personalized letters, I'm also getting the color change like you did on your cars. I want to keep it nice. And so I wanted to get a license plate cover. Not a tinted one or anything like that because I don't want it to be any harder to see. I just want to keep it clean. And on Amazon, there's tons of them. They're all cheap fucking plastic from China and like a rubber back, whatever, right? Some of them arrive cracked. Some of them crack immediately after buying. Some break on install. They yellow and fade really quickly. They don't seal well. They seal too well and there's condensation on the inside. Just fucked all around, right? And I couldn't really find any quality ones. There's one brand that I found that seemed to be higher quality, but it's a carbon fiber frame, which to me screams high schooler with a Honda Civic and is not my style, right? But it looked like the best quality option to keep the plate clean. And so I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I bought it. Part came in yesterday. Looks fantastic. Does not look obnoxious, especially on the Lexus. It's a black car. It's a dark color carbon fiber weave, so it's not like super flashy or anything like that. It looks very classy, and it seals to the plate really well, and the plate seals to the trunk very well, so I don't think it's going to be getting dirty at all, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. So I have and it came with license plate bolts, which
there you go.
the car did not come with. They came with fucking roofing screws or some shit cross-threaded in this. And
Yep.
North Miami Mitsubishi, step it up. So I had previously bought bolts from Lexus of Melbourne to install the metal plate, but when I ordered this from Carbon Fiber Gears, the name of the company, I got black bolts with a rubber cap that goes over the bolt, which is going to keep it clean and it looks way better. So I'm super happy with how that came out. I also went to Tintology of Melbourne to get a quote for how much it'll be to tint the car and get paint protection film on the front. It's $2,200 to get paint protection film on the front of the car, which I will not be getting. I think
PPF is expensive.
maybe next time I buy a nice car, I'll factor that into the purchase price, but I cannot afford that right now. But I am getting it tinted next week, which I'm super excited about because although the AC in this car is phenomenal, it cools down immediately. And with the cooled seats and everything, life is good, but you still get the radiation through the window on your arm. So it's still kind of hot, a little uncomfortable. And when you get in the car, it's always hot, right? The remote start helps with that, but still.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get the tint. I'm going to get the cool blue on the front windscreen as well to stop the dash from aging. And then also to stop the dash from aging, I ordered a sunshade, the same brand as the ones that we use.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to come in next week. So I'm super excited for that too.
Nice.
While I was at Lexus, I asked about their official Lexus brand dash cam that they'll install in the car for you. It looks OEM, like it matches the rain auto sensing thing up by the rearview mirror. Looks fantastic. It's $350, which I can afford, but with the install, it's like $1,000, which is expensive for me right now. But I considered doing it myself, and then I was like, I would rather just have the Lexus people deal with it. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to be routing a hard wire system for the radar detector anyways, that also taps into the fuse box, right? And so I asked the service guy, the parts guy at Lexus in Melbourne, and he was like, actually, it doesn't tap into the fuse box.
Probably got a harness.
It taps into the harness where the rear view mirror gets its power from.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck. Okay, so you're not going to route the radar at the same time. And then I thought about it, and I was like, it's a fucking $600 install fee for you to fucking glue it to the windshield and tap into the wires up by the rearview mirror right next to it. It seems excessive. So I'm holding off.
They probably quote it as having to pull the headliner down. That's probably why.
Yeah. But I'm going to have to do that for the radar anyways, or tuck it up.
I've done some wiring like that, and I've always just gone around with the trim tool and tucked it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I don't take any of that stuff apart.
Anyways, I don't know what
You can't tug it if you're actually connecting up the wires, though. Like for the radar, I've tucked it all the way around down under the glove box and then gone to the fuse box, right? But if you're tapping into a harness in the rear view, you got to pull the headliner down a little bit.
That's a good point. In that case, maybe I'll pay them to do the dash cam because I don't want to be fucked with it. And then when I do the radar, I'll just tuck it in like you're saying.
Yeah.
But in any case, I didn't buy either of those, so I'm waiting on those. And then I went through the service history or the service schedule. And I think I said this in the last podcast. I filled everything out as factory recommends. And then I also went in and added all of the work that I did in the last week with the floor pins and the license plate frames and stuff like that. I'm being really hyper diligent with taking pictures of everything and then labeling everything and putting it all in Google Drive and Google Sheets and keeping tabs on everything, which is a better job than I've done with the Camaro. But then I also went and I listed out all the factory recommended consumables. So what oil they recommend, what coolant they recommend, whatever. We'll see if I end up actually following that because I'll probably end up going just AMSOIL, whatever anyways. But I went through and found all those things.
What oil brand do they recommend?
Toyota Genuine Oil, whatever. But I mean, as long as it's the same weight.
It's probably Mobile One rebranded.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But I mean, I haven't had any issues with AMSOIL, so I might just continue getting that. We'll see. I'll do some reading into it. They've got the specifics listed out as well with the chemicals that are in it or whatever. What's interesting is the oil filter looks like just the filter. It doesn't have like a metal casing. So I'm wondering if it's like the BMW where you drop.
It's a cartridge, likely.
Yeah.
That I would do
from like
OEM.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and do as much OEM as I can. Unless I genuinely think it's better than the OEM stuff, but I have to have rationale for it. So
right.
I'll get more into that as we get closer to the first service in a couple thousand miles. Apart from that, I started learning about the Porsche 718 platform.
Oh yeah.
Because when I was thinking about, I was like, man, I have really enjoyed the everything about the Lexus and how comfortable it is and how new it is. But it's definitely not sporty. So if I did start making a shitload of money in real estate, what car would I get? Still probably a Miata, although, you know, a Miata is definitely not going to have all the same creature comforts as like a newer car would. So what kind of newer car would I want? Money, no object, just for fun, right? And then I was like, well, I've heard good things about the 718 platform. It's well balanced, it's mid-engine, whatever. Al was actually looking into getting one before he wound up getting his Corvette. But comparing the Porsche to the Corvette, I think I'd rather have the Porsche. So I started learning more about the 718 platform. And I got a lot of good bits from that. So now I can hold my own in a conversation on the 718.
Yeah, they're nice cars.
Yeah, they're cool.
They're very cool.
That's my life update.
Cool. Do we want to get into the podcast?
We do have a real podcast today. Okay. So today's podcast was your idea, and the title originally was
The hybrid lone wolf. What's the game today versus yesterday?
exactly right. And so I changed that to solo entrepreneurship because I can't say lone wolf without cringing a little bit. So I changed it to solo entrepreneur. I just always think of the anime kids from high school who are like the alpha or whatever. I have a bad experience from high school.
Got it.
That's the
Okay.
reason.
Yeah. I've never had that experience. So to me, it's like, whatever.
Which is wild because you went to Boston for high school. But anyways,
less, not as many emo kids at my high school as you'd think. There's a few.
yeah, these are like the furries type of deal.
We didn't have any furries, thankfully.
Lucky.
But
So
we had maybe one. We all made fun of him.
yeah, you made fun of the alpha.
Oh,
You've seen those kids online. It's I think
I've seen them online.
I think the term has been tainted for me by that group of people. Not that the
Fair
term
enough.
itself is bad, but
Yeah.
segment one is, does the lone wolf business model work conceptually? And I thought about this for like 10 minutes before writing anything. And I hate to Jordan Peterson this topic, but I don't think there's a short answer here. I think the answer hinges on the scope. So on one hand, Rome wasn't built by one man. And on the other hand, it doesn't exactly take an army to run a small business, right?
Right.
So instead of answering this question with sometimes and ending this podcast on a single word, I'd like to break down and define some of the terms and then run through some hypotheticals.
Sure.
So let's start with the term lone wolf. Your original title for this podcast read The Hybrid Lone Wolf, but I got tripped up a bit on the term hybrid and lone wolf. So walk me through what you mean by each of those.
When I mentioned hybrid lone wolf, I kind of mentioned like the lone wolf model as I've pictured it. Like the OG lone wolf model is the cowboy from the 1860s who's like the vigilante who kind of runs the town and keeps everything in order, but he's not really official in any way. Like that's like the OG lone wolf. And then like the early 1900s, you had the guy who like started building cars in his garage, and he slowly evolved, and now he sells cars to, in his region of the United States, and he does well for himself.
Okay.
That was like the early 1900s lone wolf. But like as it's evolved and as we've gotten more tools, it's kind of become a more hybrid lone wolf where, yes, you may be still working alone, but there are a bunch of tools at your disposal, like AI tools or, scheduling tools online, or even like just simple stuff like Googling, or, ChatGPT is a relatively, kind of Google style AI tool, not even generating anything beyond like text. Now there's been add-ons, but, it's hybridizing over the period of time where it's like, yes, you may be still working alone, but you're not really alone in the work. There's so many aids at your disposal that would have traditionally been someone else involved with your business or your wife or whatever you're doing, but now it's kind of involved in your own personal circle.
Right. It's like digitized. It's like a hybrid car.
Yeah. That's essentially what I kind of envisioned with the title.
Got it. Okay, cool. I have defined here for the lone wolf term, literally, I think it is supposed to be a wolf that has left its pack and lives or hunts alone. In nature, this is unusual, as wolves are usually social animals and carries the idea of being independent, self-sufficient, or even exiled, right? So like positive, neutral, negative, right?
Yeah.
Metaphorically, it usually describes a person who operates independently or prefers solitude or avoids group dynamics, or may be seen as self-reliant, introverted, or nonconformist. Again, positive, neutral, negative, right? Because the framing is everything, right? With everything, especially with the term like lone wolf, because it's pretty polarizing. I think some people have like a very fond image that they think of in someone being independent or like a trailblazer or a self-starter. And then there's other people that think that it's like, an isolated or distrustful person who's like unwilling to collaborate, like doesn't play well with others type of thing. And then the neutral setting is just like it's someone who prefers to work alone or keep to themselves, right? Um, and so like obviously like that I can apply pretty easily into a business setting where it's like, okay, I want to build a business, but I don't want to have to rely on a bunch of other people to get the job done, right? That makes sense. The hybrid is what threw me off, but I'm guessing that it's the implication here is it's someone who prefers to work with computers or artificial intelligence instead of humans, right? So it's like I need assistance with the business instead of leaning on people. I can really lean on the computers now, right?
Yeah, and does that really work, or at the end of the day, do you need other people to count on?
Right. Got it. So what's your answer?
My answer is it really depends.
I think
It
it's
really depends.
situational.
Um, if you're starting out small business style, I think I could argue this probably for any niche, regardless. You can start out alone.
Mhm.
You can always start out alone, working through the stuff, learning, building, progressing. For example, in real estate, for you, you're working with Grace, but you don't have like a team. I mean, you have other people that you work with, just like I do, but by and large, like the methodology from start to finish, you're still having to work through. You're not hiring experts in the field to come and do ads for you. You're not, hiring experts to come in and search the country for leads,
Right.
right? So you're still finding leads, coordinating with these people, setting up the open houses, working through your posting structure, figuring out, you have other references just like I do,
You don't need
but
employees.
you don't, yeah, right. Like you don't have employees that you hire on like a 1099 or a contractor on 1099, or you don't have W-2 employees,
Right.
right? So, and then for drop shipping, like, yes, I have someone that helps me, you know, coordinate with people in China for manufacturing because I don't speak Mandarin, right? Like, or, I have ad agencies that I work with that help me run my accounts
Right.
when the accounts run. And, all nice people, all good people. But, I have other people that I coordinate with, but I don't have W-2 employees. So by and large, for me, it's like, okay, how do I develop an ad, or how do I build a website, or how do I find products, right? So
Yeah.
similar places like that. Starting out, I don't need to go hire someone to find products for me. I have a mentor that I hire that I use as a reflection point for the stuff I find because it's helpful. But I don't have someone to build a website for me or build ads.
Well timed.
Yes.
I'll make that. Okay. Hang on 2 seconds. I'll let the store close all the way. Good go.
So it just really depends on kind of where you're at and what you're going through. But when you're starting out, I don't think you need it. As you develop, I think that you will grow by need,
Mhm.
right? So you'll likely get to a point where you're really busy on, actually selling the property, that you don't want to sit around and do accounting and paperwork and taxes.
Mhm.
So you'll have a tax guy.
Yeah.
Or you'll be focused on, how do I grow myself as a personalized brand? I don't have time to figure out what headlines work on the ads the best.
Mhm.
I'll hire someone for that, right? Just like I will get to a point where I can't respond to, Karen in Arkansas about this product, so I'll hire someone to respond to email for
Customer
me,
service.
right?
Yeah.
Customer service rep. But then this is kind of where I picture the hybrid part get in, is like for headline development, right? Starting out, you can use AI tools to come up with a bunch of different headline ideas and then a
Mhm.
test platform for you, and then you could just implement it, right?
Yeah.
Or for me, I can have an AI assistant that responds to emails for me that can do 90% of the tasks,
Right.
right? And so that's kind of where that hybrid comes, is that I think that AI is at a point where it can get you a little bit farther along without hiring people in person. But just like I saw, this is partially why I brought the Zeely AI thing earlier in my business update too, is it's good, but it's not as good as what people can do.
Right.
And so it gets me that next step, but it doesn't accomplish all the steps I need to get to where I want to go.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that there's a lot of programs and assistants and AI platforms and other stuff out there that get you next steps,
Yeah.
but they don't get you from starting out in your 20s to a business to having a full scale company and having a free life and to living your entire life that way all through up until your 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not full encompassing yet. It'll probably get to a point where it is, probably within our lifetimes. And if you assume any rate of, progress, it'll get there eventually,
Right.
right? But it's not there at this moment.
Right.
And I think it's developing relatively quickly. I'd say that probably it's developing right along pace with how quickly we're growing in our business, which kind of makes sense because they're growing their own business, trying to scale it up to that point, and we're trying to scale our own businesses up to get to the point where we want to be. So we're kind of growing together, right? We started out, on real estate or drop shipping kind of around not when AI started, but when AI started picking up a lot of speed and a lot of these tools started coming out and kind of, we're at 1 or 2 or 3 year level developments, right? And so it's kind of all growing together. And so it's like with the 11 Labs update that I had earlier, like that was something that I didn't have when I started. But as I got better at ads, I realized I needed better voiceovers. And then 11 Labs came out with this new feature. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's not quite at the point where I want it to be.
Makes your job
but
easier.
Makes it a little bit easier, right? So now I got like a little treat, right? Essentially.
Yeah.
But I think it really depends. There are still things that people just do better. We'll get to a point where you don't need anyone, maybe. I don't know for sure, but long story short, sometimes.
That's about where I was at.
Yeah.
I think that historically, so far, the answer is no. Even successful people who prefer to work alone have to rely on others.
Yeah.
So a phenomenal example of this is Steve Wozniak, who designed the Apple computer, right? He had like all of these products like ready to go in his garage, but if Steve Jobs didn't come in and recognize his genius and then go sell those products, he probably would have just stayed a hobbyist, right? Without exploding it into huge growth, right?
Yeah. As Robert Kiyosaki, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
As Robert Kiyosaki says, most people are one skill away from great wealth.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And so
and his skill
Steve Jobs met that skill, and then they combined and then grew.
Exactly. Yeah. And like Hormozy says, it's people can't buy your stuff if they don't know that you make it, right?
Right.
And so you need marketing and advertising. And so just like by virtue of what selling stuff is you have to rely on other people. I mean, A, to buy your product, but then B, also if you are the inventor, you have to sell it, right? So you have to rely. Steve Wozniak had to rely on Steve Jobs for that, right? But that said, all the stories and success stories that we know about that haven't been done on their own is because they're large scale, which we've already defined as like you cannot have a large scale business if you're only doing it on your own, right? Meaning that if a business has gotten large enough for us to hear about it, they can't have done it on their own because we wouldn't have heard, they wouldn't be big enough for us to know about, right? So there might be like an untold number of solo entrepreneurs that we don't even know about because they prefer to be off on their own and they don't want to work with a bunch of people, right? And those businesses just aren't as large. And so there's undoubtedly like a mechanic shop out there or a tire shop where it's just one guy who like does everything, right? And it's not a big deal. He doesn't have a huge.
Everyone in Brevard knows about Gattos, but Autobahn, where I worked, has spread by word of mouth because it's a father-son business and always has. And they've had select employees over the course of the years, but they have an amazing business. It's father-son. Not everyone in Brevard knows about it. A lot of people do because they've been around for almost 40 years.
Right.
But, Gattos is a bunch of different people together and a corporation working to have multiple locations all across the county.
Yeah.
So
Photographers is another good one, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's one guy with a camera who does all the developing, marketing, and work himself. And he doesn't have to talk to people unless they're customers, right? And so that's another good example. But like the world doesn't know about Autobahn or these photographer guys, right? Because their business isn't large enough to reach the rest of the world. And if that's their goal, then yeah, the business model works because that's reaching their goal.
Perfect. Yeah.
I think on to most people, their envisioned level of success is out of reach of being able to do it on their own. And so I think that historically, we've seen that lone wolves work at a small scale, but eventually hit a limit as they grow in size in which they have to incorporate others simply because of the scope, right?
Yep. I agree.
That's kind of what I have for the first segment.
Me too.
I was actually talking to Derek about this today. It's his last day at Palhana today, and he was like,
Oh, really? I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah.
Oh.
I texted you and Joel and Grace yesterday, but it was
Not
yesterday,
Reddit.
right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
I was working through ads yesterday. I didn't really check my phone
Yeah.
much yesterday.
I got you. He was like, "Did you know
I
that?"
sent you a couple memes and then I logged off. It's just customary for me. I was like, I'll scroll for 15 minutes and send someone memes that,
They'll know.
whatever.
I didn't check him. I haven't read
And
them.
then that's it.
Yeah. But he was like, "Did you know there's no such thing as a lone wolf?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "The guy that defined lone wolves, studied captive wolves in the 1970s. I looked him up after this. His name's Dr. David Meck. And he published the book, The Wolf, The Ecology and Behavior of an Endangered Species. This is back when wolves were endangered, right? And he had studied wolves in captivity, and he established the concept of alpha wolves leading the pack, lone wolves being self-sufficient ones that are like maybe exiled or like can fend for themselves and don't feel the need to like work with whatever, right? And that all wolf packs follow a rigid dominance hierarchy of like there's the top dog and then the beta one and then the whatever else, right? But after he released that book, it became super famous. It became the basis for decades of wolf behavioral theory. It was popular in media, wildlife documentaries.
Wolf behavioral therapy.
Yeah.
That's a new left-wing
theory, wolf behavioral theory. And they even started incorporating it into like dog training, like to train your dog not to piss on the carpet, right? And following the book release with all this money, he was able to go study wolves in the wild. And so he went to, I think, Yellowstone and I forget what the other ones. I didn't write them down. And he started to study wolves in the wild, and he started to realize that the patterns that he had studied in captivity don't actually manifest in the wild. It is not accurate in the wild. What he started to notice is that wild packs are family units. They're not dominance based. It's dominance in the sense that the leaders are the parents over the younger ones, right? But there's no dominance between a male and a female, or like a mother and father, right? Not a husband and wife. Wolves don't get married. But one of them doesn't pull rank higher than the other. It's just like the parents, then the younger ones, right? And he started to realize that lone wolves aren't like dejects or rejected or exiled or self-starters or anything like that. Usually lone wolves in that sense are young males that are dispersing to find mates and start their own packs. And he kind of realized that he was taking a lot of his personal trauma and personal life and then projecting it onto these wolves in captivity. But when he went and saw them in the wild, he was like, "Oh, I don't think this is how it is." And he spent the rest of his career publicly debunking his own earlier work and trying to say, this is not how wolves work. But everybody loved the idea so much that they just ran with it, because you can apply it to business or personal life or whatever. Like you can apply it so widely and broadly. People love dressing up as dogs and pretending to be the alpha. You've seen the memes. Like it has gotten so big that he can't walk it back. But I thought that was a super cool.
That is interesting.
I didn't know about that wolf lore. But I thought it was interesting. Not debunking the term.
No, it is. No, it's interesting.
Fun fact.
It is cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I knew that chimpanzees for a long time were assumed that like the strongest, biggest male was the alpha, but it's usually the leader of like a group. I guess I'm not animal technical, but family like the
chimpanzees.
Yeah, the leader of that family will be the one with the most connections, even if they're smaller and weaker.
Yeah, it's the social one, right?
Yeah,
which is super interesting. So that's segment 1. Segment 2 is on how AI has changed the game. Artificial intelligence introduces a new variable, one that has the potential to complete the task of human team members without having to work with humans. This, in some cases, would raise the capacity for some solo entrepreneurs to scale their preferred method. On the whole, I still think this system has its limitations, and that at an eventual scale would require human teams to accomplish. An interesting thought experiment here, though, is a world in which artificial intelligence inhabits robot bodies that have the same physical impact on the world as humans. So we're thinking way further out now, right? That would replace the need for team members entirely. No more people, just these robots, leaving a lone wolf to scale without limit, without team members. But at that point, it begs the question, what's the difference between a team of humans and a team of robots? Either way, you still have a team, you still rely on other entities to act correctly on your behalf, and you still have to handle errors. And so this kind of makes me think of the ship of Theseus, which is a mythological Greek hero has a ship, And over time, some of the wooden planks start to rot. So he replaces the rotten planks, and then, older planks rot until eventually every plank has been replaced. Is it the same ship? So comparing that here, lone wolves don't want to rely on boats for travel. They would rather walk. But you can only walk so far before getting tired. And some areas just simply are not accessible by foot. You need a boat, right? But they prefer to walk. Eventually, wooden ships are replaced by steamboats and then speedboats. These new boats are easier to operate. They still have reliability issues occasionally, but on the whole, they're easier to operate and they're better, right? The base premise is the same. The lone wolf is still using a boat. So that's a kind of thought experiment that I had here, which is like, at what point does it conceptually shift where it's like, well, you're not working with people, but you're working with an entity that has the same issues that people have, right? What do you think?
I mean, I think that business is a game, and a lot of business is very competitive based at its core.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm competing with other people who sell toys or market toys or develop new products on the market. And you compete with other people trying to sell or buy houses,
Mm-hmm.
right? Fundamentally, I think that AI platforms and AI systems and the kind of futuristic down the line reality that's coming towards us will change that game. And there will be a new set of rules and a new playbook, and that's continuously evolving. And that's why business is a game and business is a competition in that sense. For day to day life, I think that probably AI robots will get to a point where they can be indistinguishable from human people to interact with. How do I feel about that? I think, that's like probably a completely separate podcast topic. I think it would be pretty weird, at least. Um, and it's crazy to think about how an AI robot could eventually have the at least on the surface, all of the intricacies and all of like the weird little knacks and quirks, like you could incorporate all that into a robot that like people have.
Right.
And then like that's a really weird thought.
Is that slavery? Episode 69 on the Vision 79 podcast. But what's interesting there is that if you use those robots for your business and they're like pretty much the same as real people,
Yeah.
are you still a lone wolf? Because you're not working with other people, but now
Right.
you're working with another entity, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. And so I think that the lone wolf at its core is a fantasy. Because even down to the most primitive example of the cowboy who rides his horse around. Like he's still dependent on whoever made the whip or whoever made the clothes he's wearing or
His horse.
his horse.
Yeah.
Right? Like there are still things that you're dependent on. So I think it's more of like a vision rather than a reality. Although you can be closer or farther away from that.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that AI models and web assistants and all this stuff is changing the game. I think it's evolving. I don't know. It's an interesting thought exercise to think about, like, as robots develop, are you still a lone wolf if you utilize all these robots?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cool,
It's
right?
weird. Yeah.
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 So I've got a worked example here.
Mm-hmm.
I've got two different businesses of two different scales that illustrate how AI can help you become a hybrid lone wolf, right? So let's start with the smaller scope, which is a t-shirt printing business, right? So here's the process. An entrepreneur designs the t-shirts themselves. That's the human input. They press the designs by hand. They package them by hand. Then they load the packages in a self-driving truck that delivers the packages to the doors of their customers for them. They have an AI assistant that handles customer inquiries, and it's a simple business. It's not too time-consuming for a single entrepreneur to do it. It pays the bills, but it doesn't really set the world alight, right? That is a successful lone wolf using AI, right? And on the larger scale, SpaceX. Need I say more? It's just too large of a system to do like single-handedly. Even I think even with armies of robots that are as capable as humans, but without the emotional deficiencies that humans have, right? Or the imperfections. Like, even if you had the hypothetical perfect AI human model, I still think that there can't be one guy running the whole company. I still think that multiple humans have to be involved with that.
I think it will probably get to a point where one person can run the entire company.
And at that point, how long does that point last before that person is replaced by
Exactly.
AI?
Exactly. And
right.
then it's just AI building AI companies. And then what do we do?
We have to bomb that. We have to blow that up.
That's what humans do
That's
best.
to make it go away. Yeah. But that's
yeah.
the interesting thought experiment, because like if that t-shirt business, the guy still comes up with the designs to put on the t-shirts, right? An AI can do that.
Yeah.
And an AI could probably, if it had hands, which we should never do, we should never give AI hands. I'm a strong proponent of not giving AI hands. They can stamp the shirts, and then they don't need the entrepreneur anymore. They don't need the guy anymore, right? So it's like kind of a tricky balance of, there's probably a snapshot in time where you could be an effective lone wolf entrepreneur that only uses AI. But how long can you maintain control of that before the AI replaces you?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it kind of, I mean, business is a game, and the game changes. I think that the stagnant things in life are, you know, things that we interact with personally throughout our existence, like going in nature and just enjoying life as it is, interacting with the things and pieces around you, right? And I think there's a ton of different games in the world that we can play, but at the end of the day, like, they are games, and games change,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's a definitely interesting to think about.
Yeah.
But as of today, to improve your life today, I don't want what I'm saying to sound like an argument for, oh, if it's all pointless anything anyway, just don't do anything for your whole life.
Yeah, maybe
Because I think that's stupid, right?
I agree.
Like, I think that if you're just gonna sit around and like flow through life, like, do whatever you want. I don't really care. But if you're just gonna sit around and like wait for life to just exist through you until you die in your 70s or 80s or 90s or whatever, like, I personally don't think I would see myself as valuable in that position. Like, I would like to do more in life, right? And so I think that although the game evolves, the game is at the place it's at right now, and I'm playing that game as it is today.
Yeah, well, and there's no such thing as knowing the future, right? Like, you
Correct.
can't say with any certainty that AI will develop to the point that humans aren't needed.
Yeah, I mean, a meteor could hit the Earth tomorrow, and then we'd all be fucked.
Yeah, a meteor could hit the Earth tomorrow. Artificial intelligence might not be possible. Like, right now, our large language models are working in ways that we don't understand. But if we do find out, if we do understand, and it's actually not it, like this isn't the general artificial intelligence that everybody thinks it is, like, we still could be 120 years away from that point, if ever, right?
Mhm.
So you can say that it's likely to happen, but you can't say with any certainty, right? Um, so what's the point in giving up now if you don't know that's going to happen in the future, right? You might as well
Yeah,
try now, and then if it doesn't work out later, cool. But it's like don't say that you don't want a job when you haven't even interviewed for it yet.
right.
Like, do the interview, get offered the job, and then decide if you're going to accept or not. You can't just say, "Oh, I will work there because
Yeah,
it doesn't pay enough or whatever." But it's like you haven't even applied to know, right? You can't reject a job you haven't been offered yet.
right,
Same deal with businesses. You don't give up because AI is going to take over the world if you haven't even tried yet, right?
right.
Yeah,
That's like saying, oh, well, I don't care about improving my life because I'm gonna die eventually anyway. It's like,
why wait? Do it now.
okay, like, I just don't find that a strong argument to not do
I agree.
anything.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so as far as AI helping out the lone wolf, I think that it's going to increase their threshold of being able to do things on their own. So back to my my ship of Theseus example, um, the lone wolf doesn't want to use a boat; they just want to walk. That's cool. With AI, you can maybe walk a little bit further before you have to get on a boat,
Hmm.
but eventually you're just going to have to get on a boat if you want to get to where you want to go.
Right.
And if assuming that those are your goals, right?
Yep.
So that's what I have for segment 2.
Yeah. I mean, I pretty much covered it.
Cool. Segment 3. What system do we utilize? I have always, and I think I will always, utilize teams to accomplish my goals. The lessons that I've learned from rowing have all pointed in one direction for me, which is that higher heights are impossible to reach on your own. Here's an example. The world record 2K time for the men's single is a 6 minute 30-second 74 decimal 74 hundredths. Yeah, that's right. The men's 8 has a record of 5 minutes and 18 seconds and 68 hundredths. That is over a minute faster. Rowing in a single is simple because everything is in your control, but it's challenging because everything is on your shoulders alone. You single-handedly row, remember and follow your race strategy, steer the boat, keep track of other boats, keep an eye on your mirror to keep your point, and maintain balance on your own. That's a lot to handle. Rowing in 8 is a more complex system as a whole because there's 8 guys that need to move exactly in time with one another, change pace at exactly the same rate, maintain exactly the same power curve as one another, all while the coxswain has to steer the boat without leaning to one side or the other to see around the rowers, motivate the team, track other boats, follow the race strategy, and call out technique changes. There's a lot more moving parts, but the load is shared amongst a larger group. So I, as a rower in that 8, no longer need to think about the direction we're going, where we're at in relation to the other boats, or what the wind is doing. All I need to focus on is the feel of the boat and the guy ahead of me and what the coxswain is saying.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of that together means that we can achieve a faster race time because there's more people involved. A lot of that translates to business for me. And I feel like one of the key reasons I struggled so much with our SAE team is that if we had 7 other guys working as hard as we were, we'd have made it to competition with no issue and maybe even competed well. But it was just too much work for 1 or 2 of us to do. Being stuck in college, we didn't have an opportunity to build our own team. We were kind of handed our team. And a huge lesson I learned from that experience is that having a bad team can be more difficult than working on your own. But having a good team can allow us to reach goals that we are not able to reach on our own. So in conclusion, I currently work in a tight-knit team in real estate with Grace. For the time being, the size of our team is meeting our needs. And as the workload increases, we'll take on more team members as needed. But as a result of the lessons learned from SAE, I'm going to be highly selective.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I get to the point where I could use an administrative assistant to handle new leads, or I could use an administrative assistant to handle the paperwork side of things, and then I just do the showings. If I want to hire a videographer, which Blue Marlin already offers, but if I want to freelance it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be highly selective with them because I don't want to hire or pay for someone who isn't like all in, right? How does this compare to your approach?
Very, very similar.
It's like you were on the same SAE team.
Yeah, I have never had an experience where I felt like asking someone who was subpar to do the task was worth it. Like every single time I've asked someone who wasn't experienced enough in the task or didn't know what they were doing to just kind of go through it and try their best, I've had to go back and redo it every time. Whether that's or even with people I don't know, like you get in a car at Autobahn and some chop shop worked on it, and then you have to go back through and redo all their work because it sucks.
Right.
Or working on the Formula SAE team and asking someone to take care of the intake manifold, and then they've screwed all up, and then you have to go back and fix it, like stuff like that. As a couple examples, I think that Hermosi also talks about this, but A+ talent is so undervalued. You can pay A+ talent even 100% more than B+ talent or B talent, but you will get 1,000% more in the return from that person, right?
Right.
And so I think that talent and good people are always worth it. I'd have the same approach in my business if I had to work with someone, given the opportunity, right? I wish I had that. Yeah, I mean, maybe I could find it. Maybe I just don't know exists. But if I had a A+ talent agency to work with to manage my ads, that it didn't have exorbitant fees at scale, then
Right.
that'd be awesome. And I would work them. But that's at least not the boat I'm in right now. I either have an agency that's very stable, but then I'm going to get screwed on fees if I scale that ad account, or I have an agency that's a little bit less stable, but it's cheaper to run, right? So it's kind of a give and take. But as of today, I still use a lot of AI systems. I use that Zeely AI newly. 11 Labs I've used for a while now. Adobe Enhance, that podcast Enhance, I've used for a couple of years now. CapCut used for a couple years. ChatGPT also for probably a few years at this point. Google has AI incorporated into it. So those are some of the things that I use on like a actually almost daily basis,
Right.
if not daily or multiple times a day. But in the future, those tools will develop. New tools will come out. I'm sure I'll incorporate them in, and I'll assess them based on how good they meet my needs. And if they don't meet my needs, and I'm at a point where I can hire someone who's of A+ talent, then I'll go for that. But hiring B or C people to work on the business with me, I think would be a waste of time, because it's shown to be a waste of time in every other thing that I've tried to accomplish.
Right. Yeah, I think that your needs dictate how many team members you should
Yeah.
have, right? Um, I think Hormozy has a quote about this, but I can't remember. But it's something along the lines of like, don't go hire staff for a business that isn't profitable. Like, that's not what you need right now. What you need to do is like fix the underlying issue. And then once you have so much work that you can't handle it on your own anymore, that's when you need to hire someone to help, because that means you're able to do more and make more money from the business
Right.
to afford that person, right? Um, and so at my current state, I do not require a large team. I do not have more work than time available, and therefore I don't need to outsource it to anybody else. In part, that's because I have Grace to work with. If I was just doing the 9 to 5, I would probably have to figure something else out with the team member, because I can't answer calls while I'm at my desk at work, right?
Mm.
But if I'm in the same group chats that Grace is in with our clients, then she can handle those things while I'm at work, right? So right now we include each other on all communications. We talk about it at home, and then we execute actions even if both of us aren't available. And so for now, that's fine. Once we get to the point where we don't have enough time to deal with all our real estate stuff, before hiring an outside hand, I'm going to exhaust all my resources. I'll quit my engineering job, and then I'll do the rest of my time in real estate, right? And then once all that time gets filled up, that maybe is when we should hire an employee. Um, so I think that's an accurate breakdown of my system, and I think how most people run their systems as well, which is use the resources you have available until they're ineffective, and then acquire more.
I think the only people that feel as though they require additional resources or people in order to run their business are people who never start their business. I
Yeah,
think those are the only people, and it's utilized as an excuse for why I can't.
right. Or people that have a business that doesn't work and they want to blame it on something other than their lack of input or
Yeah,
their inaccurate input, right?
100%.
Because it's easier to say, oh, well, my business isn't growing because I don't have enough help, than it is to say, well, my business isn't growing because
I'm not putting in enough effort.
I'm not putting in enough effort, or my product just isn't good and I need to do something differently, right?
Yep,
Um,
100%.
yeah.
That's pretty much all I had,
Yeah, me too.
honestly, on my sheet.
Me too.
But do you have a dial in for us?
I do. I actually had two,
Yeah.
and I couldn't figure out which one I wanted to do. But both of them apply to people who are trying to consider, am I better off doing everything myself and working on my own, or should I lean on other people? I have trust issues. I don't want to have to deal with relying on other people. Other people don't do work as well as me. I'm just going to do it all on my own until I burn out, right? And so Alex Ramosi has a quote, which is, if they don't have what you want, don't do what they did. Which is, if your goal is to be like Elon, he did not do all that on his own, build a team. If your goal is to be a freelance photographer, or Alex and Tommy at Autobahn, they don't need a lot of people. Do it on your own, right?
Mhm.
And the second quote is, a lot of people like to romanticize burning the midnight oil or waking up at the crack of dawn, but the truth is that success is neither of those things. It's just whatever works for you. And so if you
Mhm.
find that you work better with people, do a business that follows that path. If you work better on your own, either recognize that you have limitations in what your business can grow to and learn to work with people, or accept that you're going to be capped at a certain point and then try to max out that cap. That's what I got.
100% agree. Well, hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. Hope you have a great week coming up, and we will see you next time.